IELTS reading test is mostly a test on paraphrases. Paraphrasing is to write something in a different way. They mean the same, but the wording is different. I will show you different examples in this video. If you don't understand paraphrasing, no matter what techniques or strategies you use, that would be a difficult task to answer the questions with confidence. The first question type we're going to talk about is sentence completion, one of the most common question types. And for sure, you will get that on the test day. There are different steps and stages, but this is my recommendation. Step 1, read the instructions to know the word limit, 1 word or 2 words and so on. Then read the sentences, the incomplete sentences, and highlight the keywords. Then guess the word class of the missing words, if we need a noun, a verb, and so on. Then scan the keywords. Scanning is not enough, it just shows you the location of the answer. Then you need to read that part closely or carefully and then decide. The important point is to know that the answers are always in the same order. So if you can't find, for example, number 2, don't waste your time. Move on. Later you know where to go back and check the answer. Alright, let's begin. These questions are from IELTS 17, Test 1, and this is the first text, the London Underground Railway. In a separate video, I've presented the language for this test that you can check out later. So for the first question, the first keyword is London, and then increased rapidly, and the years. In the first paragraph, we have the year, then London, and grew at an astonishing rate, and the answer is population. So increase verb, become larger in amount, and here in the text, the synonym for that is grow, and then rapidly, an adverb. We have at an astonishing rate. This is the paraphrase for that. Rapidly, in a fast or sudden way. Astonishing, unusual or unexpected. And rate means speed. Number 2, in the previous line, we have some words that help us to locate the answers easily. The first one is Charles Pearson and building an underground railway. And in the question itself, we have building the railway to move people to better housing in the, so we're looking for a place. Now, looking at the paragraph, we have Charles Pearson, so again, it helps us to locate the answer quickly. Then building an underground railway, exactly the same phrase. And then relocate the poor workers instead of to move people, and to newly constructed, and the answer is suburbs. To move people, to relocate to a better housing. Here we have to newly constructed suburbs. Newly, recently, constructed, built, in suburbs, areas outside the center of a city. Moving on, question 3. The first keyword, a number of, agreed with, and Pearson's idea. So Pearson's idea, the same word here, gained support amongst some, and the answer is businessmen. In the text, the paraphrase for agree with, meaning accepted, is gained support amongst some. Gained to get, support agreement with an idea, amongst in the group of, and some, and number of. And this phrase is the paraphrase of the question. Number 4, the first keyword, company, had problems needed for, and then project. So we're looking for a noun. It's somehow possible to guess the answer before reading the text. So the first word, company, organization, had difficulty, had problems in raising, getting, for, needed for, and then scheme, the project. The answer is funding. So here you can see the paraphrases and synonyms one more time. Negative articles, project appeared in, and we're looking for a noun. This one is also possible to guess because of the meaning, because of the words article, appeared in, and the. It's kind of easy to guess the answer. Let's look at the text. Critical articles, printed by, and the answer is press. Negative articles, critical article. Critical means saying that something is bad or wrong. Article is a piece of writing in a newspaper. Appeared, here we have printed by, to be written in a newspaper. And the word the press means newspapers and magazines. For number 6, again, before reading the question, there are 2 other lines before that help us locate the answers easily. The first one, chosen route, did not require buildings to be pulled down. So in the text, we have exactly the same wording, chosen route, and then demolishing buildings, demolishing for pulled down. And the second one, the cut and cover method, construct the tunnels. Exactly, we have the same wording here. And then we get to the last part, the question itself, with the completion of brick arch, and the tunnel was covered with. We're looking for a noun, probably a material. Finally, a brick arch was added to create a tunnel, was laid on the top of the tunnel. So the thing that we're looking for here is soil. With the completion of, here we have finally, the last action in a series of actions, covered with, laid on the top of. So as I mentioned earlier, the answers are in the same order. So if you can't find, for example, number 3, don't waste your time. Move on to number 4 and number 5 and 6. Later, you know where to go and check it. The answer will be between question 2 and question 4. It saves you a lot of time. Now, the second question type also is very common, true, false, not given. Let's look at these steps from IDP. First, read the questions and underline the key information. Scan the text for keywords. Again, scanning is not enough. It just helps you to find the location of the answer, not the answer itself. In order to find the answer, you need to read that part carefully. Read carefully and decide on your answer. And remember, again, the answers appear in the same order. Knowing this saves you a lot of time. So the first question, other countries had built before the metropolitan line opened. Now, the first keyword here in the text is metropolitan line, and also we have the word opened, and was the first world's underground railway. It's false because it's exactly the opposite of what the question says. The question says other countries had built underground railways before metropolitan, but the text says was the world's first underground railway. So it is false. The second one, more people than predicted traveled and on the first day. The first keyword we have here is on its first day. And we have the number of passengers that were carried, but there is no information about people traveled more than predicted. So it is not given. Number 9, the use of ventilation shafts failed to prevent pollution. Remember, we're looking for meaning, not for the exact words. Smoke and fumes, pollution, remained a problem. So the system failed, even though ventilation shafts were added to the tunnel. The systems were added, but they failed because still smoke and fumes, pollution, remained a problem. It is true. It's exactly the same as what the text says. Next, a different approach from the cut and cover technique was required in central area. Central London, the first keyword. The cut and cover method of construction was not an option in this part of the capital. It is again true because the question says a different technique was needed, was required, a different technique from cut and cover. So cut and cover was not useful in London's central area. Exactly, this is the same thing that the text says. It was not an option. It means it was not useful in this part of the capital. Number 11. The windows, City and South London trains. These two keywords help us to locate the answer quickly and at eye level. So in the text, we have tiny windows just below the roof because it was thought that passengers would not want to look out at the tunnel walls. It is false because the question says the windows were at eye level, but the text says the windows were tiny and just below the roof, so the passengers could not look outside, so it was not at their eye level. Therefore, what we have here in the text is the opposite of the question, and it is false. Number 12, the City and South London Railway, financial success. So the first keyword, it helps us to locate the answer quickly. City and South London Railway was a great technical achievement or success, not a financial one. It did not make a profit. It is false. Again, it is the opposite of the question. Profit is money that you gain by selling things or doing business after costs have been paid. The question says it was a financial success. It means it made profit. But the text says it was just a great technical success or achievement and did not make a profit. So financially, it was not a success. And the last question, trains, twopenny tube, and always ran on time. In this paragraph, we have some information about 2 but there is no information about it being on time. So this is not given. When you cannot find the answer after reading, the safest option would be not given. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the answers are in the same order. So if you cannot find one, move on. Don't waste your time. Later, go back and check the answer. All right. I hope you have found it useful. I will continue with the second text of the same test. Bye for now.